I'm Ian Britton, an academic who studies volunteers in policing, and I'm once again delighted to be joined by Wendy Drummond from Toronto Police Service, who leads and coordinates the Auxiliary Volunteer Programme for Toronto Police Service. So welcome back, Wendy.
Thank you so much, Ian.
Would you just like to briefly introduce yourself again?
Sure. My name is Wendy Drummond. I am a sergeant here at the Toronto Police Service in Canada. I'm the coordinator for our auxiliary program as well as the coordinator for crime prevention. The two roles really fit nicely together, and it's something that we've really taken an interest in injecting crime prevention and community engagement into our auxiliary program.
Thank you. And in the first conversation that we have, you set out what sort of roles the auxiliary police do in Toronto, very much integrated with the parent service, a strong focus on crime prevention and some really innovative work around crime prevention by design, where the auxiliaries are trained to do that sort of crime prevention input across the community. And you also talked about the interesting blend of auxiliaries that you have younger people and older people from different communities and walks of life, and how that comes together to be a really strong and cohesive group, and that people support one another in terms of the auxiliary. I was wondering, in that context, does the auxiliary programme attract a balance in gender terms of men and women? I know a lot of police volunteer programs are quite male dominated. What does that picture look like in Toronto?
It's actually quite balanced. We've had one of our first classes after COVID. It was a 50-50 split. We had 50 male, 50 female, which was great. And as we continue to do our hiring, as I mentioned, we do that twice a year. The numbers maybe aren't 50-50, but they're 60-40, and they're not out of the realm of being overbalanced one way or the other. So it's very nice to see. But I think one of the things that I have come across in this role and overseeing the application process and the hiring process, but also taking into account our membership and their needs, is we need to really be cognizant of the fact that this is a volunteer program, and we must really listen to those needs and the availabilities of those that want to volunteer. So we do have members wanting to take leaves of absence for various reasons, and we just have to understand that sometimes there are those needs, and if we don't accommodate them, then we tend to lose out on hiring one gender over the other. So I have found that is something that has kept our roles engaged, is being able to accommodate and meet those needs. So when those members are ready to come back and volunteer, they're welcome and can do so with ease.
Yes, and the volunteer experience just has to fit with that pattern of life, doesn't it? Life's journey. People will have varying moments in terms of their availability and the broader sense of just what else is happening in life at that point of time.
And I really think that since after COVID, things have in the world and society has changed, and I feel one of those things are those people that were in the auxiliary program before COVID really had a different mindset of those that are coming in now. And sometimes they don't always see eye to eye. But I think it's something that we have to accept and we have to work with in order to make the volunteer program continue to work and be strong, is really listen to what their needs are and what their availabilities are, and work with them.
Yes, it needs to be adaptable and yes, to reflect generational changes in life, the challenges of cost of living, time availability,
Absolutely.
different expectations of what a volunteer role looks like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You mentioned, I think, in the first conversation we had that you have 2 intakes a year of auxiliaries coming in. What does the overall headcount look like for your volunteer program? Is it growing? Is it shrinking in terms of the overall numbers of who's involved?
Um, Oddly enough, it really is staying the same, where we
Yeah.
seem to be hovering around the 300 mark for us. As I mentioned, we lose anywhere from 10 to 15% of our auxiliary membership to being employed as a police officer, as a parent service. So a lot of our hiring is really replenishing those that move on into the career. Um, but I think the only way to really try and build on our numbers is to continue to increase our hiring numbers. So that's something I've had as a goal and trying to work towards is bringing more people in. But for whatever reason, regardless of our efforts, we still seem to be hovering about the 300, which is, I guess, not bad because we're not dipping below. We're maintaining.
Yes, and I think in terms of international comparisons, maintaining numbers is quite a positive picture compared
Hmm.
to some
Losing.
places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, also thinking internationally, one of the aspects which lots of policing organisations are putting a lot of thought to is how do you best coordinate and support a body of volunteer police? So,
Hmm.
what does the paid coordination, the support roles which come in and work around the volunteers to make sure it's a good and positive experience? What do they look like? So I'd be really interested to hear your example of what your team looks like and what sort of things you do to support and coordinate the volunteers.
So for us, with a 300 membership, we are broken into 16 divisions. So our police service has 16 divisions, and then what we do is when we've got new people that have come in to hire, once they've done all their training and then they're auxiliary members, we allow them for a 6-month period to work throughout the entire city. So they can visit all 16 divisions, see what happens in that division, who works in that division. Toronto is very unique in that we're very multicultural, and every division seems to have little pockets and niches of different types of communities. And even though we're one city, every division is very unique into themselves. So they have 6-month period to visit those divisions, get a feel for where they would like to work, and then they submit to us where they would like to be placed. So rather than having us look at and organize and coordinate 300 members, we have them divided up into the divisions, and then each of those divisions has auxiliary staff sergeants that help organize, and those sergeants and staff sergeants coordinate with myself and my officer, and so having a bit of a smaller group gives us that ability to and affords them that feeling of belonging to a division. Um, the uniform members within the division are part of the neighborhood community officer program. So, and they oversee the auxiliary program at their own division there. Those officers aren't going radio call to radio call to radio call. They're not our priority response, as their name depicts, neighborhood community officer. So they have the ability to really work with our auxiliaries and bring our auxiliaries into the community events, to do the community engagement, the crime prevention details. So my feeling is bringing them into a smaller group, into a more family community oriented group and feel, it works really well, so they don't get lost in and amongst the busyness of the priority response, which we really don't want our auxiliaries to be involved in any type of harm or danger. Their role is the community engagement portion, so it works really well for us.
Thank you. And And you've been involved beyond Toronto Police Service. You've been involved in linking up with colleagues in other policing agencies across Ontario and trying just to develop dialogue and share practice between one another in terms of your different auxiliary programs. Can you just share a little bit of how that work's developed?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a group such as the auxiliaries and other services have similar things, I think it's very important for those that coordinate and run those programs to talk to each other, to be able to share issues that come up. It's a means of risk management, not only for the parent service, but also in keeping our auxiliary members safe. So being able to speak with our counterparts and share that information on an ongoing basis is really important. Sometimes, you know, the wheel doesn't need to be reinvented, and if there's things that you may not be doing, your counterpart and neighbor next door may very well have a well-oiled machine in dealing with and or running that initiative. So we share those ideas. We share lots of policy procedures, just different things that really make the program better. And when we do it together, makes it even stronger.
No, I think it's such a good idea to link these things together. And as you say, just to learn from one another. There are so many commonalities between agencies, but also people develop their own innovations and different ideas, which are just really positive to share, aren't they? So
Yeah.
that sounds like an excellent thing to be doing. In terms of your auxiliary program in Toronto Police Service, do you have any sort of plans for the immediate future, or are there any developments? I suppose, what's next for the auxiliary?
I have lots of plans, but I don't think our service has too much of a budget to entertain a lot of these things. But yeah, there's so many things that we would really like to move forward with our program, and some of it is technical. You know, we need some logistics to coordinate our members to be able to, you know, send out details, a communication system. Would love to be working on, and just some of our historical vehicles that are really are a community hit. You know, need some updating and maybe a new modernization of one. So things like that is there's a lot of things in the works that I'd like to see come to fruition that would like to work on.
Yeah, so lots of positive things happening, but also exciting plans for how you would want to develop it in the future.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, really, I would like to increase us past the 300 number mark. But it's again, that's something to still looking forward to and working towards.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Wendy Drummond, for joining us for a second time and sharing more about the wonderful auxiliary program in Toronto Police Service. I always think it's inspiring hearing what people are doing voluntarily in their communities, and I think Toronto policing is such a community focused approach across such a diverse set of communities across the city that it's really interesting to hear how the auxiliary program is developing and who's being drawn into it and what sort of work it's doing. So thank you very much, Wendy Drummond, for joining us on Policing TV.
My pleasure. Thanks very much, Ian, for having me.